You ever see someone get set up to fail just for laughs? I mean, really, like the world already decided where they belong. And anybody who dares to push against that box is just asking to be put in their place? That's what went down that Monday morning, right there in the middle of Precision Automotive. Detroit, company warehouse, old metal echoing, and a dozen people just waiting for the show to start. Let me back up a sec. The chief engineer, Rebecca Williams, was standing there, phone out, filming with this tight, fake grin, eyes hard as ice, her voice loud enough to turn heads. If you fix that engine, I'll marry you. It was meant to be a joke, but the kind that cuts. The kind you don't forget. Yeah, that happened. David Jackson, the guy at the center of it, 38, broad hands black with years of grease and heartache. He just kept his eyes on the dead engine. Not saying a word. Didn't need to. You could see by the way he moved, slow and sure, that this wasn't his first time on the wrong end of a bad bet. His shop on the south side wasn't fancy, old tools. Shelves sagging, not a diploma in sight. But David had something you can't buy or teach. Real skill, the kind that sees what's broken before anyone else knows it's there. Rebecca's whole engineering team had spent 3 weeks trying to get this experimental electric engine to fire again. Cost the company $200,000 in blown deadlines and busted parts. And now the bosses were desperate, angry, out of patience. Some junior exec had muttered, maybe that old mechanic down the street could do better, and that's all it took. Rebecca snapped, fine, bring him in. If he fixes it, I'll hand him a $200,000 contract and eat my words. But you could hear the sneer behind her teeth. Everyone could. You could almost smell the setup. By the time David got there, the jokes had started. Look at him. Her assistant Jake snickered. Bet he never finished high school. Others smirked. Some looked nervous. Like they knew this was more than a joke, but nobody said a thing. The boss, Mr. Crawford, watched from the glass office upstairs. He'd built his empire from nothing. But it was clear he'd lost touch with what real grit looked like. While Rebecca made a big show of recording David's inevitable humiliation, the video went viral before he even picked up a wrench. People shared it on company chat, WhatsApp, Facebook, cruel jokes, ugly memes, marriage bet hashtags. By the time David's daughter Jasmine got home from school, her eyes red. The whole city was laughing. Dad, they're making fun of you on TikTok, she whispered, her voice small. David just hugged her. Told her not to listen to people who need to tear others down to feel big. But deep inside, he was cataloging every smirk, every name, every face. He'd learned to bottle up pain, to turn it into fuel. That night, while Rebecca laughed it up with execs, pausing the video to roast his confident face, David was doing what he did best, working, not just on the engine, but on the truth. He borrowed manuals from the library, downloaded patents, read every page until his eyes burned. And then he found it, a pattern, so small you'd miss it if you weren't looking with a lifetime's experience. The engine wasn't just broken. It had been sabotaged, 3 key parts. Damaged in a way that only made sense if someone wanted it to fail. Someone on the inside. The next twist? Samuel Torres, old-timer mechanic, 70 years and a legend at Precision before retiring. Dropped by the shop. David showed him photos. That's an inside job, Samuel said, tapping the screen. Saw it before, back in the day. Someone always wants to tank a project for a quick buck. Turns out, Samuel still had friends in the company, and some of them had been whispering about projects failing at the exact same stage, always led by black engineers or women, always followed by a promotion for the same tight circle at the top. By midweek, Rebecca's public campaign hit fever pitch. She called into a radio show, laughing about miracle mechanics who think they can do what trained professionals can't. But on the other end of that broadcast was Dr. Angela Morrison, a black professor, FBI consultant on sabotage cases, and a woman who knew the smell of injustice when she heard it. She showed up at David's shop the next day, credentials flashing, and quietly offered to help. Angela took one look at the evidence and confirmed his suspicions. This isn't just bad luck. This is a system. Someone's making sure certain people never get ahead. With Samuel's help, they dug deeper. Every accident over the last 3 years had the same signature sabotage, always on the same kinds of teams, always benefiting the same people. Rebecca and her crew had played this game before. Rebecca, feeling invincible, scheduled a live event. Wedding of the century, she called it, sending invitations to all staff, prepping her speech, even buying fake flowers for the ceremony. She didn't know Jasmine, David's daughter, had saved every cruel video, every meme, every racist parody Rebecca had made, including one with 15,000 views where she mocked his accent and mannerisms. And Angela, meanwhile, was prepping a full technical dossier, every failure, every pattern, every victim. Friday came. The whole company, over 100 people, customers, execs, gathered in the warehouse. Cameras were everywhere, the air thick with expectation and a weird, nervous glee. Rebecca in her red blazer, bouquet in hand, ready to go viral for all the wrong reasons. Jake called out, "Where's your suit, David?" And the crowd laughed, except for a few, who looked like maybe they'd seen enough. But David? He just walked up, toolbox in hand, calm as ever. "Before I start this engine," he said, plugging in Angela's projector, "I want to show you something." Images flashed up on the wall, close-ups of sabotage parts, detailed diagrams, video clips of Rebecca's racist parody, screenshots of WhatsApp messages plotting against diversity hires. Angela stepped forward, her voice clear and cutting. "I'm Dr. Angela Morrison, FBI consultant, and I've seen this pattern before. Sabotage, discrimination, conspiracy. The evidence is being sent to the DOJ, the press, and the state board." Samuel backed her up with internal company records. Who got fired, who got promoted, who got paid. Rebecca tried to interrupt, but her voice cracked. The crowd's laughter died. Mr. Crawford, the CEO, ordered her to his office, but David held up a hand. "One more thing," he said. He flicked a switch, and the engine started. Smooth and clean, better than before, the numbers on the screen showing even higher efficiency. "This engine doesn't just run, it runs better than you ever built it," he said, finally smiling. "Not bad for a guy you said couldn't read a diagram." Rebecca sank to the floor, tears streaking her face, her red blazer suddenly looking like a warning flag. Jake stammered, "It was just a joke." But nobody was laughing now. Angela turned to the crowd. "This is more than a joke. This is criminal." Security led Rebecca and Jake out. The warehouse filled with a silence heavier than any engine block. 6 months later, Detroit looked different from David's new office window. The name on the door, David Jackson, Director of Innovation. Precision Automotive had cleaned house. Rebecca fired, Jake gone, and the company pouring money into new programs for inclusion and mentoring, led by David and Angela. Jasmine, first-year engineering student on a full ride, activist, and the best reminder that real change starts at home. Every so often, someone would send David a screenshot. Rebecca trying to rehab her image online, always dragged by the truth. Jake caught trying to leak trade secrets, now facing federal charges. Samuel still dropping by the office with numbers showing their new engine outselling the old, offers coming in from all over. One day, a radio host called, wanted David to talk about what happened. "How do you feel about Rebecca now?" they asked. David paused, thoughtful, not angry. "I feel sorry for her. The real tragedy isn't what she did to me. It's what she did to herself. Wasting her talent fighting the wrong battle." Later that night, Jasmine asked if he always knew he'd win. He laughed, hugged her tight. "It's not about winning. It's about how you get up after being knocked down, you know? Sometimes letting them underestimate you is the best move you've got. And that's the story, right?" How a moment meant to humiliate turned into a revolution. How justice, when done right, builds something bigger than revenge ever could. So now it's your turn. Tell me what you think. When do jokes cross the line? Should people get a second chance after public humiliation, or is there a line you can't come back from? Drop your take in the comments. Hit subscribe if you believe in stories where dignity wins, where justice matters, and where no one's potential is limited by what's on their resume or the color of their skin. Let's talk about what real progress looks like, and who gets to define it.